I love Jenny so much. She's a really good person. I always feel like I don't give enough back. You know, if you think about how much of our lives change due to this program, do we really give enough back compared to what we get from here? My name's Carl, I'm an alcoholic. The very first time I came to this meeting was in this room. I went to the bathroom in there and I said, geez, they don't have any urinals in the men's room. I was in the women's room, going to the bathroom. Okay, there was a lot of brain cells burnt up here. Okay, my sobriety date is 12/15/16. No, the other way around. 12/15/16. Yeah, that guy said it right. Like I said, a lot of brain cells burnt up here. And I have a sponsor who at this time does not have a sponsor, because his sponsor, who was who really helped me out a lot, has passed away. And you guys might know him, remember him, some of you. His name is Neil Gray. And he would say stuff like, he would say stuff like, well, what the hell do you expect, Carl? Why don't you comb your hair? Put your shoes on. You know, that's basically I was very feral when I first came in here. And it took me a little bit of time for me to really understand what you guys were saying, to understand the words that you see in front of you, and to not take this place for granted. So I'm a kid, I grew up in Long Island. I did what most people, some of us did here. I played a lot of sports. I did not drink till I was like in my 20s, because I was a jock, okay? So I didn't get thrown out of school. I went through school, I graduated. I did all those things. Then I went to Boston. And in Boston I met bars. I went to toga parties. It was so many universities there, so many colleges there. It was overwhelming from a little guy that grew up in Long Island. And you know, you guys think of New York, everybody's in New York, the first thing goes through your mind, you think of Manhattan and Brooklyn. Where I grew up, there were no stoplights. I grew up with just stop signs. So then when I went to the city, it was so overwhelming for me. And it was addicting. I was in school in the 80s. And in the 80s, most of us who drank in the 80s did cocaine. It was an epidemic at that time. It was everywhere. I mean, you could go into bars and people would be doing it in the bar. You know, it was everywhere. And so it was an exciting time for me, you know, because I didn't have the baggage of drinking when I was younger. I just got it when I was older, but I didn't have it at that time. So anyway, I quickly lost my scholarship that I had worked my whole life to get into college, to play a sport. I lost that. I was married to a woman. I was 18 years old. I was married to a 33-year-old woman. I lost that relationship. I became an alcoholic almost instantly. All I could think about was drinking and getting high, you know, and I put everything to the wayside. But I was managing. Remember the early days? You could manage. I actually paid my bills. I got an apartment. I went to work. I was okay. I was happy. So why would drinking be bad? I didn't equate all of those things I was starting to lose. I just, you know, bad timing, bad luck, all of those things. So, you know, the smart thing for me to do would be, you know, losing that and realizing I'm losing these really good things would be to go on Grateful Dead tour. So that's what I ended up doing. I had a friend say, you don't know this, but you're a Deadhead. And I didn't even know anything about the Grateful Dead. And I said, I am? Okay, I am. So he turned me on to the Grateful Dead, and I went on Dead tour for 9 years. I didn't miss a show. I would follow them everywhere they went. And I got into that lifestyle, you know, which was kind of like drinking and doing drugs on steroids when I went there. DEA stood for Dose Every American to me. It didn't mean all that other stuff. And I quickly got into the part of dealing, and I did not work. When there did work, it was very sparse, and I was no longer, I was off the grid. I was off the grid. I lost my license because I just didn't go re-up my license, whatever it's called. I didn't go get it, when it expires, it just expired, and I just kept driving. I didn't worry about it, right? Where I lived, you didn't have to have insurance on your car. It kind of predates myself. Dates myself. And when you went to register your car, we'd put jokes. We'd go jokes about. I would say my name is Jim Lord, and they always put it backwards, so it'd be Lord Jim. And I'd register my car with that name because they didn't even ask for my ID when I was in California, and things like that. So I would always, be able to still drive my little car and everything like that, and I never got in trouble for that. I never got pulled over once for that. And I think those things are not good, because the people in here that have gone to jail, that jail has saved their lives, might have an understanding of what that means. That the young men in here, young women in here, that have had consequences right away, maybe that's the greatest thing in the world. You have your whole lives ahead of you. So I didn't get those. I kind of got away with some stuff, right? So what happened was in 1989, they made a treason against the United States government to make acid. And that was my bread and butter. That's how I made a lot of money. So I said to myself, I don't know how this happened, that I finally made a wise decision. I said, I need to get out of this business. I don't want to go to federal prison for 25 years. I'm getting out of this business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to Hawaii. So I packed up all my stuff, which was a bag on my back, and I just got a plane and I went to Hawaii. I lived on a nude beach when I first got there. I was pretty spectacular back then. I lived on a nude beach when I got there, right? And it was great. I loved living in Hawaii, right? By the time I got done, I built 2 homes there. One was on the ocean, and it was a great lifestyle. I loved it. But I had this great idea that I should sell my home and start smuggling heroin into Hawaii. It would be a good lifestyle for me. So that's what I did until I got caught doing that. I spent 4 years in Thailand prison. The property room got robbed, and all the evidence got thrown away, and they had to throw me out of court. They threw me out of court. So they ended up releasing me. So I'm back in the States, and the first thing I do when I get on the plane is I order 2 screwdrivers. I still don't equate all of this stuff to me having trouble. I just don't equate it. And look at all the good stuff I've gotten. I had these great things happen in my life. And I worked hard to get to them. I put things together. And I just threw it all away, and I could not equate that. So then I left there, and I struggled when I went back to Hawaii. I struggled for like a year there. I felt totally like a loser. I had really let myself down. I had all of that stuff, and so I felt I needed to leave. So I left there and I moved back to New York. In New York, I was kind of with this girl there, and she I don't know why these girls do this stuff, but she took me in. She said, "Okay, we're gonna get you better." Right? And my way of getting better was, all right, I was going to try to go to AA, which I did. I started going to AA, and I was going to be okay, and I didn't know what was happening. I don't know if anyone in here comes here and it's like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. I don't understand it. I'm really not catching on. I understand, and I think most of us in the beginning go through that, and I did that. I would show up, and I'd go out to drink coffee and eat food with you, because it was fun, but I didn't understand the AA part of it, the recovery part of it. I just needed fellowship, and you weren't out to hurt me, and that was good enough for me at that time, but it would not keep me here. That's the only issue. If I didn't do the steps, I didn't get a sponsor, and I didn't start networking, nothing would keep me here. That's what is the glue to keep me in recovery. And I found that out through time. So, I made mistakes there. I had bought 2 buildings. I was really doing well. I had a company with 7 trucks. My life was really together. I was with this girl. She did all the special effects on Law and Order, Dave Letterman. We went to great parties. We had a lot of fun. We enjoyed ourselves in New York. And once again, I was there without recovery. So, destroyed it all. I lost that relationship. The homes, we didn't lose the homes. I gave her the homes, and she drove me down here and dropped me off in Taylortown, North Carolina. Well, I'm living in Brooklyn one day. The next day, I'm in Taylortown. Okay, so it was a change of pace for me, right? Needless to say. I call up the hotline at the time to get a hold of people because I needed to go to AA. I didn't need to go to AA. I needed to get the hell out of the house, my mother's house, and get out of there and do something. And I knew if I said I'm going to AA, she'd be okay with that. So anyway, people started coming to get me, and I started to be in AA. And it's really good, for 2 years. And then I decided that I'm going to go to New York and go see all my friends and all that crap that we tell ourselves. I woke up a month and a half later out of a coma from ODing. I drank 2 screwdrivers, blacked out. I was done. You know what I mean? They put me in the hospital, and I came back down here. That should have told me. That should have taught me, right? Come on. No. So long story short, I go through this relapse thing in here. I picked up 7 white chips. Has anybody picked up multiple white chips? Can I see a hand? It's not really that comfortable. And it's nothing, it's great that we did them, but it's nothing to be proud of. I used to be proud of it. I'm going to show you how to deal with recovery. I mean, people used to say, well, you can tell people how you dealt with your recovery when you relapsed. You're a good example of relapse. And they would tell you that, and I use that. Okay, that's really great. I latched onto that. My disease latched onto that. Please don't do that. Don't latch onto that. So then I went through all that period of time, and finally enough's enough, and I went to detox. They wouldn't take me. They said, we're putting you in ICU. I had damaged myself that much. And then at that point, I got at it. I suddenly, got my brains back a little bit. I called Mark. That's a gentleman right there. Thank you. And Mark said, we're going to help you. Right? He said, what we're going to need to do, though, you're going to get out of there. I'm going to need you to get a ride up to Albemarle, and we're going to put you in a safe house there. We didn't have the safe house we have now, that they established down here now. So I went to Albemarle, and you're supposed to be there for a week. I don't know if you remember this, Mark. This is a long time ago. You're supposed to be there for a week, and then you go to... I couldn't even walk. This is how bad it was. This guy Mike, they liked me, and then they said, you could stay longer. 1 week, went to 2 weeks, went to 3 weeks. And then I finally went down to Samaritan Colony. Mark gave me a little job. I vacuumed this little spot this big. Meanwhile, people were doing all these big jobs there, but I was a wreck. So I'm 55 years old, just coming out of ICU and going into there. 55, guys, girls. So you can waste your life till 55. The opportunity's out there for you. It really is. And then you could stand up here and say how you waited till you were 55, till you finally got sober. So then I went through Samaritan Colony. Did not want to do that. Did not want to do that. The first 2 weeks were torturous. They weren't, but it was adapting to it. I couldn't sleep. I don't know if you guys ever had that trouble. You went through detox and stuff like that. I couldn't sleep for a while. And people told me, neither could I. Okay. So let's stop the whining and just get through this. And I did. The last 2 weeks were great. That's what I remember. The last 2 weeks I finally was starting to catch on. I was writing, I was looking, I was thinking, and I really wanted to be in recovery. I really started to want to pay attention. Recovery was important to me. Being not being an active alcoholic and drug addict was important to me. So I started paying attention. So I needed a sponsor, and at the time, I got my friend Jay Wood. He stepped up. He said, "Carl, I'm going to sponsor you. But I'm going to tell you right now, because you relapse, you have a window of time before you relapse again. Not because he's some magical wizard. It's because he watched my track record. He saw what I did. Because what happens is, in the beginning, I went through, I made it 2 years, 1 year, went to 9 months. Then it went to like 6 months, then it went to like 2 weeks, and then I'd be lucky to make it 1 day after detox, because of, it's hard. You destroy everything, and then you start giving up on stuff. I felt like a hypocrite. Anybody ever feel like a hypocrite in here? You don't have to raise your hands. You might not want to do that. But I felt like a hypocrite. Okay? I felt like I was a liar. I didn't want to be a liar, but I felt like I was a liar because I would say, this time I'm going to do it, and I'd be drinking again. So it made me feel badly about myself. I didn't have this experience now, and he said, now we're going to go right into the steps. He said, 11 o'clock on a Sunday, I want you in my garage. I got a job. I was traveling all over the state. I was fixing gambling machines, right? I got somewhat of an okay brain. So I picked up on this career, and I went and I took off on it. It paid me decent, right? So I went and I started fixing gambling. I'd be in, Bern, is that right? New Bern, North Carolina. And I'd be there at nighttime. I'd have to get up early in the morning, drive all the way back. I was there at 11 o'clock every Sunday to do the steps. It didn't matter where I was, and what time, and I didn't let any of that get in my way before I would have. I could justify it. Well, my boss, the job, all of those stuff that I always would do, I wouldn't do that this time. And you know what happened? I didn't know it at the time, but unconsciously, I started to say, I do care about myself. I do want something better. Just doing those actions. I didn't go, I'm going to do these actions so I can say, I do feel better about myself. It just worked that way. I didn't know it. I knew I had to do something different. So I did the steps, and, things started changing for me. Of what my life is like now. So right now I go home, all my bills are paid. Of where I left detox, when I went into detox, I lived in a trailer with no water, no electricity, and I weighed 114 pounds. All right, I'm $175 right now. So you just think of me with 60 pounds off my body. I'm not the biggest guy in the world as it is. Imagine with 60 pounds less on my body. I'm in okay shape. I actually went to the doctor for the first time in a long time, and I don't have anything wrong with me. So I don't take any pills, which we don't know. I got to go to the doctor again in August. We'll find out what happens. But, those things are amazing. I'm very grateful for that. I have a God in my life, that I speak to kind of like I speak to anybody. I'll curse at him, in a fun way. But I'll curse at him. I'll just talk to him like regular thing. I don't talk to him like a Catholic God or stuff like that. I don't do that. And I kind of learned some stuff like, I don't really ask him to do stuff because who am I to ask him to do stuff or tell him which direction to go or anything like that. I just say, kind of just please take care of me. I guess that's asking him to do stuff, but I don't ask him specifics and things like that. It's just my way. But I never did have a God in my life. I was defiant. And I would tell you, you're out of your effing mind to think there's a God. And I would get into the scientific proof behind that if you needed me to. Right during the meeting, at the 11-step meeting if you needed me to. I had no beef with that. Because I was defiant, ignorant. I was also just a brat or whatever you want to call me. I wanted attention. All of those things that we think we need to survive. I wanted you to think I'm cool. Dudes, I was never cool. Never even came close to it. I was probably one of the furthest uncool people in all of my life. And that's just the truth. And you know what? I did okay in life not being cool. this being cool is a little overrated. It's a lot to live up to. So, so I always wanted a home, a decent woman, and a picket fence, 2 dogs, a couple cars, and just have that type of lifestyle. Well, I have that all now. Does anybody know what the 9-step prayer is in here? Yeah. No? It's basically, it says that we're going to get all these really good things back. Mostly our integrity, mostly our ability to be able to handle situations that used to baffle us. And at the end it says something we think not. I just say no to that. So I think of all these monetary things, we always say that, they just come and they're great. If anybody says they're not, well, they are. They're nice to have, to be able to live okay. As my new sponsor, who's John right here, we used to always say, one flat tire from bankruptcy. Well, that was my life. I don't think about that anymore. Let's talk about my lovely woman that I have, who's also in recovery. That's a really great thing. If you've ever dated anybody in recovery or ever been with anybody in recovery, and they're really working the program, boy, you get through the normal things that people have in relationships. They're not always perfect. And when somebody in recovery is doing the program, it's not this traumatic throwing stuff and hating you and not talking to you for a week or whatever, and walking out. It never happens, and I'm really thankful for that. And I don't know how this happened in my life. There have been many things that have happened, and so then you have to wonder about that. Then that whole God thing. So if anybody's having trouble with God, I understand that. I'm probably really going through this fast, aren't I? So, I didn't want to come tonight. I was going to try to find a way not to speak, but then I was thinking to myself, Jenny, who just went through this traumatic thing with herself, is going to make it there. How do I not show up? And I'm really grateful I did. And I really don't like to talk about the war stories. I know everybody loves them. And the reason we love them is because we can relate to them. But what happened, I found out, I lived in them, so I stayed in them. I lived in them, so I stayed in them. Right? And I don't want to stay in that. I want to stay in recovery in this part of making my life better. So because I don't have war stories, then I just have what I am now. And it's just a regular life. I get up in the morning. I go to work. Like Jenny was saying about my job. So my job is I own a little company, and I have right now around 13 people that work for me. And I do have people in recovery. And it's really a good feeling, and it's really the worst feeling. Because a lot of us who are in here, if you're like me, you're just in here, maybe we're here for coffee, check out the girls, tell some dirty jokes, right? And some of them come to my job, do the same thing. And it's heartbreaking. I've had 7 guys die who used to work for me. 7. And my company's only been open for 6 years. So that's like 1 a year. And it's heartbreaking. I've seen a lot of guys go back out again. It's heartbreaking. And I know it's like it's their job, it's their journey, all that stuff. But like in here, we care for you. You become part of our lives. You may not know that, and there's many people that do know that. There's many people with a lot more time than me in here that have taught me that, and that's how I know it. But this is really this is something where we need each other. Nobody does this by themselves for very long. They may come in here and sit against the wall, and don't take this personally. They may sit here against the wall and not really be a part of, and in the long run, they don't make it. And that's not me being pessimistic. That's what I've seen. So like when I look around the room right now, when I first came in here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people, 5 in this room that were originally here. Now, there's some guys that moved here that have a lot of time. Oh, wait, I forgot you, Mark, sorry. Mark, okay? Everyone else, you're all new to me. It's in this room. Oh, I forgot about Mark, I'm sorry. But you know what I'm saying? So really, that means 10% of us are people that were here when I got here. Everybody's new. And I'm saying that because I want you to be part of the 10%. Not because I want so stay there. No, I want you to be part of the 10% and realize that this is a place where we have to put some time and energy into it. And that time and energy is rewarding. What comes back is this person, hopefully for you, I know for me, that is comfortable in their life. That's all I ever wanted, comfortability. Right? When I drank, it's because I wanted to feel comfortable in that crowd of people at the bar. Because I wanted the ease. I wanted to not be able to move around. Kevin too, I forgot Kevin. I wanted to be able to just be comfortable, okay in it. And I couldn't. Because I would drink. But then I wanted more, and then I'd act stupid and uncomfortable. But I thought that they would bring that to me. Now I can act stupid and be comfortable being stupid, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, there's this thing, it takes time to get to. So early recovery, very uncomfortable. Even though I'm not drinking, even though I'm waking up in the morning, and all I need is coffee, which is my new drug, by the way. Everybody's new drug? Who drinks coffee? Can I get a show of hands, please? Wow, the coffee company's going out of business. Only 6 people here. Okay. So I love coffee, right? So that's all I need in the morning, coffee. And so that's made me just comfortable in my own skin. So, okay, you guys want to hear a joke? I always tell a joke, yeah? Did you? All right. So I got one joke and one joke only. I got 2 though, actually. I got another one. So who wants to, I'll either tell you Notre Dame joke or the Hawaii joke. Good, I'll like show of hands for Hawaii joke. Wow. Show of hands for Notre Dame joke. Hawaii joke it is. So there's this guy, right? He's cruising around, he's in his backyard, and he finds a genie lamp. So he rubs the genie lamp like, that old myth goes, and the genie comes out. And the genie says, get 1 wish. He goes, 1 wish? I'm supposed to get 3 wishes. This is the way it's supposed to be. He goes, no, you get 1 wish. He goes, okay, I'll have a wish. He says, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. But Hawaii is so far away, and I don't like planes, and the boat ride is too long. He says, I want you to make me a bridge there. The genie looks at him and goes, no. Too much concrete, asphalt, too much time to make it. He goes, what the hell? Not only do I not get 3 wishes, now I only get 1 wish, and you don't want to even grant it. He says, give me another wish, the genie says. He goes, okay. Help me understand women, what they're thinking, when they say certain stuff, how they act, their facial expressions, all those things. Help me understand them. So the genie says, will that be 2 lanes or 4 lanes? I thought it was funny. Anyway, so one of the things is that I've got my sense of humor back. So when you first come in here, everything's so overwhelming, everything's the worst, everything's too much to accomplish, we can't get over it. Oh, those terrible things are now in front of me, I'll never get through them. I can't even remember what any of them were. In early recovery, I can't remember any of them now. They're basically, I like to say, speed bumps in time. Those things are gone now. I've had a sponsor that lately, it was more important that he did okay. I said to him, I think you need to get a new sponsor. He's a sponsee. And I said, I think you need to get a new sponsor because you need to be with someone. You need to be able to go out with them, hang out, be at meetings with them. and do the things that a sponsor and a sponsee do. And that's build a relationship, that you actually physically see each other and around each other. That's part of this program also. So if anybody doesn't know about that. So he did, he went out and found another sponsor. And I was very happy about that. Because the success of the people we love in here is what is important. That's why we're here. How people make it through this life. And that is because we learn compassion, understanding, love, thoughtfulness, all those words that I'm not really, probably can go any further than that. You guys can probably come up with 10 more, but you get what I'm saying. We get to be human. We get to be what we want to be, normal, if you want to call it that. That's what I've always wanted to be, is normal. I wanted to be just what, these people that are happy and free and doing all this stuff, and be a part of, and not feel like it can't contribute to a conversation. You can't be comfortable when you go meet your in-laws. You can't be comfortable when you go out to a business party or anything like that, because you're just not comfortable with yourself. And all of these things that I've obtained have let me be able to do that. So this person is, right now has another sponsor, and he's here right now. And I'm very happy, because I love him very much. A relationship between a sponsee and a sponsor. Hey, that clock used to be here, and I can't read that one, but that says 20 to 8. Is that right, guys? Okay, good, thank you. The relationship between a sponsor and a sponsee is very important, guys. If you don't have a sponsor, get one. It's very important. And if you're thinking you're, like, well, I don't know, I'm going to go up to this guy, he's going to want to help me, I'm asking too much from him and everything. It's the other way around. People in here want to help you, want to be a part of your life, because you're helping them. Like I said, we help each other in here. There's none of that. The big book, reading the big book, of actually sitting down with another person and going through the big book, going and, kind of diagnosing it, giving your opinion of what that really means. There's a lot of words in there. The damn thing was written 39, did I get that right? Nobody knows either. All right. We need Big Book Jim to tell me exactly when it was written, the exact date of 39. I think it was made in 39. And so it has a lot of things in there, phrases that you may not understand. And so, you both go through it, and you kind of get to be a part of that, and also your perception changes. Your way of looking at life changes. You get ways of dealing with things that you may not dealt with properly before, because I know I didn't. And so the big book became a big part of my recovery, just under the doing of the steps. That's what did it for me. So one of the things I believe in is service. I'm a GSR for my group, and I'm also the chair of corrections for our district. Now, if you don't know what that means, there's many districts in an area. North Carolina has an area, and there's many districts in it. So, and a GSR is the guy who hears what goes to assemblies and brings it back to their group. So almost every group has a GSR, right? So the chairing of the corrections is what I'm really into the most. I love corrections. I took my friend Susie to Scotland County last night, right? We went out to eat, and we went out there and we were coming back, and she's like, you read the steps and everything? She goes, how often do you read the traditions with your sponsees? And I was like, never. Never. Being open-minded here is good. And I wanted to defend it. Well, I'm doing good. I don't need to blah, blah, blah. And that's what went through my mind. The traditions? What the hell are we going to read the traditions for? What, next I got to read the principles? You know what I mean? That's what goes through my mind. The disease is always waiting there for reasons why I shouldn't grow to be better. Why I shouldn't grow. my old sponsor, who, what happened with him was he got his master's degree and he was going to move far away. And so I was like, okay, I guess I need a new sponsor. But anyway, he would always say, you know what the villain of a great life is? It's a good life. I was, I couldn't wrap my head around that at first, but then I started to understand. Because a good life, I'm complacent. I got it. I'm okay. I don't need to learn anymore. It's good. So since my sobriety, I've gone to school. I've taken like 4 courses already. I always don't know. Now, this person I really respect because she's in, I'll tell you about what happened. So I went to Freedom of Bondage. Happens once a year, you guys. Right here in North Carolina, in Aberdeen it happens. This guy named Tom I put it together. 34 years ago? Steve helped me with this. 34, 35 years ago? Something like that, right? Yeah. He put this together, right? And each year people show up from corrections there. From all over the country, really. So I went there, and this girl named Susie, she's like, hey, you want to volunteer? And she got me involved in volunteering and everything like that. So I wanted her to come and speak. I just got into, we hadn't been in Scotland County. I got into Scotland County through a series of events. And I got into Scotland County after 20 years we hadn't been there. And it's brown clothes. So it's such a great thing, right? So I've been trying to bring people in to speak that. I'm asking Daniel to come. Daniel's like the godfather of corrections also. He's been doing it for a long time. So I said this, we're coming home from there, from her speaking, and she, said this to me yesterday. And now I have something new to go and do. I'm going to start doing traditions. You never stop learning in this place. So as long as you're a part of this, there'll be something intriguing. There'll be something new to do. You won't get bored. Even though now you go to the meetings, your home group, you know that guy's going to speak the third time that someone speaks. You kind of know what they're going to say about that topic if you've been doing it long enough. I get it. But there's going to be a gem. There's going to be a nugget, whatever they're called. I really don't know the really cool terminology. But somebody's going to say something that you maybe never heard before. It's going to really help you in that situation for that time. And those are the things that I look forward to when I go out to meetings. I wait for that one thing, and sometimes it doesn't happen every meeting. That's just the truth. But it will happen, and it does happen. And so one of my biggest things that happened to me here, I lost my dog. And that was devastating for me. I did not drink. I did not drink. So the things that I used to say to myself, why it's acceptable for me to drink, have fallen to the wayside. I used to joke around, when I didn't take this place for granted. Well, if I was going down in a plane, I would grab that thing and start drinking, because I was a jerk. And my basically was, everything was stupid and funny, and it really, joke around with your sobriety. I heard people say this: if you don't care about your time, it's because you don't got any. Okay, when you put some time and energy into this program, and you really care about yourself, then things start to change when it comes to that. It matters to you now. Things matter to me. And that took some time. I feel like I'm becoming a man of substance. I'm becoming a man who has integrity, who's thoughtful. And that's because of AA. That's because I have this God that I totally don't understand anything about the goddamn God. I don't understand him at all. But he's doing something. Let's take the 6th and 7th step. Does anybody know what the 6th and 7th step is? This is the steps over here. Thank you. To change our character defects. And he's doing it without me knowing what he's doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I try not to curse as much. I don't know about you guys. I grew up saying the F word every other word because that was what you were supposed to do. So people would think you're cool. Meanwhile, I've got glasses that are always broken, and red hair, you know what I mean? Broken lip here and busted and everything like that. I'm like this tall, and I'm saying the F word trying to be cool. You know what I mean? The stupid things we do. So I came down here and I did that. I would curse all the time, right? And somebody came up to me and said, you know, you could probably get your point across just as well without cursing. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Nobody taught me that. So the things that I've learned in here are sometimes really small, but make a giant effect to the person I am when I deal with the outside, when I leave here. We get 1 hour here, and then we leave here. So how do I act when I go to Walmart? How do I act when I go to the supply house? How do I act when I'm in my environment, in my office, with the gentlemen and the women that work for me? How do I treat them? You know, these are things that I've had to learn through time. And I've made mistakes. I've made my fair share of mistakes. And I've been grateful to be able to apologize or redeem myself or have to live with them and not beat myself up beyond belief. You know, I've forgiven myself for a lot of what I've done. I'm talking about recovery. I made those mistakes. I've learned to forgive myself. You know, I have also made a couple of new friends. We went and saw baseball the other day. We saw, and it was great. You know, and I think that now, I don't know if you guys are experiencing this, start to go do, remember your goals in life. I left my goals on the side, what I wanted to obtain. I'm starting to look at those and regain those and think about those. And one of the hardest things I experienced, guys, I've got like 5 minutes left, is when you start wanting to grow up and everybody expects you to fail, or everybody expects you to be that dope, or you expect to be that dope, and you don't know how to grow up. And you start to learn how to do it. And you want to start acting proper when all you ever did in here was act improper. And it feels uncomfortable. And you feel peer pressure from it, whether it's even there. You feel you give that self to yourself. I don't know if anybody's experienced that in here. I went through that for a time period. And that kind of stunted me a little bit, my growth. Because I was always that guy, you know, the dope in here. And I mean, I see myself in a lot of you guys. Maybe not in here, I don't really know a lot of you. But I see myself when I go to meetings in here, a lot. And so it was hard for me to make that change to be that other person. And that was something I had to overcome in here and go through and deal with, you know. For a long time, I know that other people waited for the shoe to drop. When you come in and out of here, just keep coming in and out like it's a rotating thing and pick up chips and, you know, just, hey, how you doing, blah, 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 let people fall in love with you again, help you out, and then you go relapse and you come back, blah, blah, blah. This is my experience, right? So, you know, this is the line we tell everybody. You could always, I don't even know the damn line, and I should know it, right? Because I've been told that 100 times. You can go out, you could always return. Something like that. You get the gist of it. So my old sponsor said, you can. But you know what? After a while, nobody's going to sponsor you. You're going out and come back. After a while, people are going to not trust you and think that you're really giving a shit about this program. Because you have shown that, Carl. You have shown that. And so I had to go through that, going through that. And I'm saying that. So not because, well, you can go through that. But those are the things that you don't want to have to do. You don't want to have to do. You don't want to learn from my experience to do that, except don't do it, not how to do that. You know, the reality is, what do they say? Keep coming back, and then other people say, just stay. Just stay. Because at any given point, that's what we're in here to do, right? Tell you to just stay. And because the people that are staying, they don't need my story. You guys are staying. What do you really want to know about like what I did when I was 19 years old? Do you give a shit about that? No. Right? What you want to know is that most of the people in here are the people that are having a hard time keep coming in and out, like I did. And like a lot of people did. I knew some of these guys, they picked up one chip. So impressive. And I mean that. Because I was too stupid to do that. And I let many years go by. You know? So don't waste those years. God, I wish I was 30 years old, what I got going on right now. Holy shit. I don't know the universe, man. If you could kill it, and you guys could do. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So many things out there. Anyway, I don't really know anything more to say than that. And I'm really grateful to be a part of AA. I'm always grateful when somebody asks me to speak. And I'm always grateful to be able to shake another person's hand and be friends with people. Thank you.